The sun shone brightly over the tranquil lake, casting shimmering reflections on the water's surface. The estate sprawled along the shoreline, a picture of peaceful luxury with its lush green trees, colorful flowers, and neatly trimmed shrubs. At the heart of this private paradise stood a tall, imposing metal gate, reinforced with thick steel bars and a heavy lock. It was the kind of gate that kept secrets behind it, secrets that only a few knew about. Slightly left of the center of this scene, a police officer stood watch. His uniform was a dark blue, crisp and clean, showing signs of recent patrols. His face was weathered, with lines that told stories of years spent in service. His eyes, sharp and observant, scanned the surroundings continuously, never missing a detail. He was middle-aged with a sturdy build, and his posture was straight, alert, and disciplined. Every muscle in his body seemed tuned to one purpose: vigilance. The officer's gaze was fixed on the gate, which was locked tight. Behind him, a police car with flashing blue and white lights was parked just in front of the gate, its presence adding an extra layer of security. The car's engine was silent now, but its bright markings made it impossible to ignore that this was no ordinary estate. Something about this place felt different, something concealed beneath the calm surface. As the breeze stirred the leaves, the officer's hand rested lightly on his belt near his radio. He was waiting for what nobody knew, but he sensed that today was not going to be like any other day at this estate. There was an unusual tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. Suddenly, his radio crackled to life. A voice, tense and hurried, came through. "Unit, we've got a situation. The surveillance feed just went dark. Nothing's been seen on the cameras for the last 10 minutes. The officer's eyes narrowed. He shifted his stance, alert now, listening intently. He reached for his radio and responded, "Copy that. I'm at the gate. I'll check the perimeter." He moved swiftly, his footsteps silent on the gravel. Approaching the gate, he examined the lock, then peered through the bars into the estate's interior. Everything looked normal at first glance, until he noticed a faint disturbance near the edge of the dock area. A small boat was missing from its usual spot, and the water nearby rippled as if something had recently moved through it. His heart quickened. This was no ordinary security breach. Something or someone was inside. He knew he needed backup, but for now, he had to investigate alone. Quietly, he pulled out his flashlight, shining it through the bars to get a better look. Suddenly, a faint sound reached his ears, a soft splash, then a hurried footstep. His instincts kicked in. He pressed himself against the gate, eyes darting to every shadow. Behind him, the estate remained silent, but in that silence, he felt the weight of unseen eyes watching him. What was happening inside? Was it an intruder, or was something else lurking beyond the gate? The officer's mind raced with questions, but he remained still, waiting for the next move, knowing that whatever was about to unfold could change everything forever. And so, at the edge of the peaceful estate, beneath the clear blue sky, the guard stood ready, his senses sharp, his heart pounding with anticipation. Whatever was coming, he knew it was only the beginning. He pressed himself tighter against the cold metal bars, heart pounding in his chest as he listened to the faint sounds echoing from inside the estate. The soft splash had been followed by hurried footsteps, now muffled by the distance but still audible enough to send a shiver down his spine. His fingers tightened around his flashlight and he peered through the darkness of the gate, trying to make sense of what was happening beyond. Suddenly, the distant sound of a boat engine roared to life, cutting through the quiet like a sharp blade. It was coming from the lake, moving swiftly away from the docks. The officer's eyes widened. Someone was escaping, and they knew he was there. His mind raced. Who could it be? An intruder, a trespasser, or something more sinister? He reached for his radio again, voice steady but urgent. "Control. This is Unit. I've got movement on the lake. Possible escape. Need backup immediately." His voice echoed slightly in the quiet air, but no response came back. The radio static was all he got, a reminder that sometimes communication failed when it was needed most. He stepped back from the gate, eyes darting toward the water, trying to catch a glimpse of the departing boat. The ripples it left behind spread out wide across the lake, darkening the otherwise clear surface. He could make out the silhouette of the vessel, small, fast, and sleek, disappearing into the distance. Whoever was aboard was skilled, moving, quickly, desperately trying to get away. Without hesitation, the officer moved along the perimeter, his boots crunching softly on the gravel. He knew he couldn't let them slip away. The estate's security cameras had gone dark, which meant whoever was inside had planned this well. They knew exactly how to cover their tracks, but he wasn't about to let them escape that easily. He reached the edge of the property, where lush bushes brushed against the fence. He drew his weapon, eyes narrowing as he peered through the foliage toward the water. The boat was already fading into the horizon, but he could still see the faint glow of its engine. He was about to call for backup again when he saw something unusual. A small object bobbing near the shore, partially submerged and drifting with the current. His instincts told him to investigate. Carefully, he moved closer, crouching low and keeping his weapon ready. As he approached, he saw it was a small, weathered bag, appeared to be waterproof, tied shut with a frayed rope. He hesitated for a moment, then reached out and grabbed it, feeling the rough fabric under his fingertips. He tore open the bag slowly, eyes glued to the water. Inside, he found a crumpled piece of cloth, some torn paper, and a strange metallic item, something that looked out of place. It was a small, ornate key, tarnished but unmistakably valuable. His brow furrowed. Why would someone discard this here? What secrets did it hold? Before he could examine it further, a sudden rustling behind him made him spin around. His heart thumped loudly as he turned, weapon raised. From the shadows emerged a figure, cloaked and silent, with a hood pulled low over their face. The figure raised their hands slowly, palms open in a gesture of surrender, but their eyes gleamed with something unreadable. The officer's grip tightened. "Stay where you are," he ordered, voice steady but cautious. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" The figure hesitated, then spoke softly, voice trembling but clear. "I'm not here to hurt anyone, I just need to get out. Please, I don't want to cause trouble." The officer stared, puzzled. "Who are you? How did you get inside the estate?" The stranger paused, then looked away for a moment before speaking again. "That key, it's part of something bigger, something I've been trying to protect. And now, I think they've found me." A cold dread settled over the officer's mind. He realized this was no ordinary trespasser. This was someone with a story, someone caught in a dangerous game. And whatever secrets they held, whatever they were fleeing from, it was clear that the quiet estate was only the beginning of something much darker. He lowered his weapon slightly, wary but curious. "Talk. Who's after you?" The stranger's eyes flickered with fear and resolve. "That's a long story, but I can't stay here. If they find me, it's over. I need to leave before it's too late." As the stranger turned to slip away into the shadows, the officer knew this was only the start. The calm lake and sunny sky masked a storm brewing beneath the surface, a storm that was about to change everything he thought he knew about this estate, its secrets, and the dangerous game that was now unfolding. He watched the figure disappear into the shadows, heart pounding with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. Several moments passed in tense silence, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the shoreline and the distant hum of the departing boat. The officer lowered his weapon slowly, trying to steady his breathing as he considered his next move. Whatever that person was running from, it was clear that whatever secrets lurked behind the estate's gates were far more dangerous than he had initially thought. He crouched down to examine the strange tarnished key more closely, turning it over in his hand. It was ornate, with intricate carvings that seemed almost out of place on such a small object. His mind raced. What could it unlock? A hidden door? A secret compartment? Or perhaps something even more clandestine? He carefully slid the key into his pocket for safekeeping, knowing he would need to investigate further. Just then, his radio crackled again, this time with a different voice, more urgent, more commanding. "Unit, this is Control. Report of a suspicious person seen near the east perimeter. Possible sighting of the escapee. Proceed with caution. The tone left no room for doubt. They were closing in, and time was running out. The officer straightened, glancing back toward the estate. The gate still stood firm, but he knew now that whatever was happening inside was far from over. The missing boat, the strange figure, and that mysterious key were pieces of a puzzle that was rapidly coming together. He had to act quickly before the person he'd just encountered vanished entirely or, worse, was caught by whoever was after them. He moved cautiously along the edge of the property, keeping low to avoid detection. As he threaded his way through the lush greenery, he caught sight of faint footprints in the soft soil, small, hurried, and leading away from the water toward a dense thicket of trees. He followed them carefully, each step deliberate and silent. The footprints seemed fresh, possibly only minutes old. Suddenly, a faint rustling sound came from above, an owl taking flight or perhaps someone moving stealthily in the bushes. The officer froze, listening intently. Every sound seemed amplified in the stillness. His hand instinctively went to his radio again, but he hesitated, unsure whether to call for backup or to follow the trail on his own. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife, and he knew that whatever was happening inside the estate was more than just a simple trespassing incident. As he pressed forward, he spotted something glinting among the leaves. Small metallic object half buried in the dirt. He reached down and brushed aside the leaves, revealing a tiny, weathered locket. The chain was broken, and the locket was tarnished with age, but the engraving on its surface was clear. A delicate floral pattern intertwined with initials that he couldn't quite make out in the fading light. He held the locket for a moment, feeling a strange sense of connection to the person who had left it there. Could it belong to the person he'd just encountered? Or was it a clue left by someone else? His instincts told him there was more to this story than met the eye. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the quiet woods, loud enough to make him jump. His heart raced as he instinctively ducked behind a thick tree trunk. Did someone hear that? Or was it just a fallen branch? He strained his ears, trying to pick up any further sounds, but everything was silent once again, save for the distant water lapping and the faint rustle of leaves. He knew he couldn't stay hidden forever. Whatever secrets the estate concealed, they were about to be uncovered, and the stakes were higher than ever. His mind raced with possibilities. What if the person he had just seen was more than just a fleeing witness? What if they knew things that could change everything? With a deep breath, he steadied himself and prepared to move again, determined to find out the truth. The lake's surface reflected the bright blue sky above, peaceful and untroubled on the surface. But beneath that calm exterior, a dark storm was gathering, one that would soon threaten to spill out into the open and reveal the hidden depths of the estate's secrets. And at the center of it all, the officer realized, he was about to stumble into a mystery far more dangerous than he had ever imagined. He took a cautious step forward, eyes scanning the dense underbrush for any sign of movement. The forest around him was alive with subtle sounds, the rustling leaves, the distant call of a bird, the faint crack of a twig underfoot. Every detail seemed amplified, as if nature itself was whispering secrets he was only beginning to understand. The small locket still burned in his palm, its engraved floral pattern seeming to pulse with an almost hypnotic glow under the dimming light. Suddenly the shadows shifted. A figure emerged from behind a thick tree, cloaked in darkness yet unmistakably familiar. An outline that he recognized, or at least thought he did. The stranger's silhouette was tense, poised for action, yet their movement was hesitant, as if caught between the desire to run and the need to stay. Heart pounding in his chest, the officer raised his weapon slightly, but held his fire. His instincts told him that whatever this person was involved in, it wasn't black and white. It was complicated, layered with motives that went far beyond simple escape. The stranger took a tentative step closer, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "I didn't mean to cause trouble," they said softly, voice trembling. "I just needed to get out. I didn't want to hurt anyone." The officer hesitated, studying the figure's face in the faint moonlight. There was a vulnerability there mixed with a steely resolve. "Who are you?" he asked, voice steady, but cautious. "And what exactly are you running from?" The stranger's eyes flickered with a mixture of fear and determination. "That's a long story," they replied. "But I can't stay here. If they find me, it's over. The key I found, it's part of something bigger, something dangerous, and I think they're after me because of it." The weight of those words hung heavily in the air. The officer's mind raced. Who was they? And what was this something bigger that the stranger was referring to? It was clear that the small, tarnished key he had found earlier was only the tip of the iceberg. Whatever secrets it unlocked, they were tied to a conspiracy far more intricate than anyone had suspected. A sudden noise behind him made him spin around instinctively, a rustling in the bushes, quick and deliberate. His pulse shot up and he trained his weapon on the direction of the sound. But after a tense second, he realized it was just a small creature scuttling away, perhaps startled by the commotion. Still, the incident underscored how fragile the moment was. One wrong move and everything could unravel. He lowered his weapon slightly, eyes locking onto the stranger once more. "You need to tell me everything," he said firmly. "Who are you working with? Why were you at the estate? And what is this secret you're protecting?" The stranger hesitated, then took a deep breath. "My name isn't important right now," they said quietly. "What matters is that I have information that could change everything. But I can't keep it here. If they catch me, it's all over." A flicker of resolve crossed the stranger's face, and they took a step forward as if willing to trust him just a little longer. The officer looked at the strange object in their hand, a small, ornate box that seemed to shimmer faintly in the moonlight. He wondered if it was connected to the key, or perhaps the secret they'd mentioned. Suddenly, a distant flash of light caught his eye, faint but unmistakable. He squinted, trying to decipher what it was. It could have been another boat heading away across the lake, or perhaps a signal from someone else. Either way, it was a sign that the situation was rapidly escalating. He looked back at the stranger, who was now inching closer, their voice barely above a whisper. "You need to decide. We don't have much time. If I'm right, this is only the beginning." And with that, they both knew the night was far from over. The quiet woods, which had seemed peaceful moments ago, were now a battleground of secrets, lies and danger lurking just beneath the surface. The officer's instincts told him that whatever was coming next would change everything. Whether for better or worse depended on the choices they made in the fleeting moments ahead.